Okay, today is Cadd 212 Class 6 on February 8th, 2021. Today we're going to have kind of a short class, just because I want to give some people that are having some trouble with walls time to catch up, fix that, and just kind of make sure all that's working. To review what we did last class, we did walls, windows, and doors. And hopefully you had a chance to turn in your progress for that. I'm going to review that later today. And when I review your progress, I'll make notes on there. So go back and check the notes and you can make corrections as need be. But we're going to talk about a little bit more about walls today, talk about wall openings, and then we're going to move on to floors. We're going to create slab floors and finished floors and learn how to manipulate those. So not a lot of new stuff today. New stuff is really going to concentrate more on floors and things. But this is, I'll just give you a chance to catch up and get this stuff knocked out, and then we'll move on to some new stuff on Wednesday. So before I start today's new lecture, I just want to kind of open up any kind of questions. Does anybody have any issues? Were you having a hard time with the walls? Anybody want to jump in with that, or is everybody cool with that right now?
Well, I was having that issue that I emailed you about. Sorry you couldn't see the message.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Let's review that.
Yeah, it was telling me something like that the walls were not visible. Oh, I wish I had it pulled up. It was saying something like, I think the offset of the walls was like misaligned to where you couldn't see it, or I'm honestly not. Let me pull up that picture again so I can read it.
Yeah. Sometimes depending on what plan view you're in, sometimes you won't be able to see certain things. Like if when we go on to learn how to create ceilings, if you're trying to create a ceiling in one view, it's not going to show up in another view. It's not going to show. Excuse me. If you try and draw a ceiling in like a floor plan level 1, it'll say you can't see it, so you've got to draw it in ceiling plan level 1. So weird things like that. And then just while she's looking for that, I know somebody else had a question about they were having some trouble saving the project. So let me review saving a project real quick. I don't remember if I did that or not, so apologies if I didn't. So when we go to save a project, you go to File, Save. That's not what I want. Let me just draw something. Oops. File, Save. It's not, it's giving me problems now. It's crazy. File, save as project. So that'll be the first thing you want to do. File, save as project. And then you'll just be able to, this box should pop up and you should just be able to save it where you want to save it. So it's file, save as project. And then from then on, you should be able to just do file, save. But somebody was having trouble with that before. I'm not sure what the issue was. If you were able to figure it out, let me know. Brittany, were you able to find that?
I'm sorry. No, I actually am not able to pull it up right now.
Okay. No worries, no worries. When you find it, let me know. Like email me again, and I'll see if I can read that. Were you able to move past that issue you were having though?
No, actually, like it was stopping me from being able to draw anything, but I don't know why it's not happening now.
Yeah, send that to me again, and then we can take a look at that. So hopefully you were able to start over, we were able to, at least move forward somewhat in the project. So we can revisit that when you find that. All right. So unless there's any other questions, we'll go ahead and move on to today's lecture. We're going to talk about walls a little bit more and talk about wall openings. And what I'm referring to with like wall openings is stuff that looks like this. This, of course, is a cutout door opening. There's no window, there's no door on that. So there is a family in Revit that you can just create a door opening, can insert that, and we'll do that. But also some of these larger, wall openings and things like that, where you're going to walk through. A lot of times people will like draw a piece of wall here and draw a piece of wall here, and then you're still missing this part up top. So we're going to learn how to draw these today. And then also these other cut openings where it's just kind of like a pass through on a wall. So this is what I'm talking about when I say wall opening. So we'll do that. And then we'll move on to floors. So actually for the wall opening lesson, I can use this one little piece of wall that I drew right here. So I'm going to jump to this elevation, which is my south elevation. I did that just by clicking on the endpoint of this elevation marker, and it jumps me to this. And this is also how that we're going to learn how to edit walls. So as you know, when we draw a straight wall, it just comes out like this. But there's ways that we can create different points of interest in here, cut a piece of this wall out, and kind of just create the shape that we want to. So once it draws like this square piece of wall, we want to click on that wall, and we want to come up to edit profile. Now, a lot of this stuff, we can use the same concept for different things as far as editing. So instead of redrawing anything, a lot of times we're just going to do an edit on it. So when we click on edit, we have this magenta border that determines the actual original shape of the wall. So all we need to do is manipulate these lines. And that will allow us to make a new shape. Now it's not letting me do that right now because I have this lock on. These are what we were talking about before with the lock constraints. So in order to do that, I need to unlock this wall. And now I can move that one. I'm going to unlock this one. And then I'm going to use my trim extend corner tool and just trim that off right there. I've made an angle there. And then I'm going to use come back up to my ribbon, and in my drawing panel, you see I have these other shapes available to me as well. Here I can click on this rectangular shape and draw that. And now when I hit my green check mark, I've got some weird wall that looks like this. If I want to take a closer look at it, I can jump to 3D view and take a spin around. Now, this is a way that we can make walls of different shapes just by editing the wall itself. So I'm going to jump back to level 1. I'm going to draw another piece of wall somewhere. Now I'm going to jump to this view just by clicking here. This is that other wall. I can concentrate on this wall. So I'm just going to create that pass-through that I was talking about before. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that wall, go to Edit Profile. I'm going to unlock this constraint. And here I'm going to kind of pay attention to my measurements. So I've got 5 foot of wall right there. I'm going to come back up to this panel with my drawing panel, click on my line tool. Now I can draw a line. So I'm going to draw this back out to 5 feet to make it match the other one. I bring that up to 9 foot. So if you have opening like this in your house, you can now use those measurements to create that wall. And then we'll click on there, we'll jump to 3D. You can see we now have that wall opening that should match the dimensions that you have in your house or wherever you're drawing that. And then
So
one
Mark,
yes.
when you're showing us these wall openings for these, this will be considered for like a sliding door.
No, no, we
No.
have options for sliding doors in your door tool. So
Mhm.
just for a
Okay.
regular cut opening that looks like this.
Okay, got you. So if it's like opening walls from a living room to dining area, that's that opening wall cut that you want on the floor plan.
Yeah, if it's just like an open wall like this, or if you've got a pass through like this,
Mhm.
or just this is like a wall opening right here. This is just simply just to create these kind of arches and things like that. You can create an arch as well. We'll do an arch real quick. But yeah, it's strictly just for this stuff. If you've got pocket doors or anything like that, we definitely want to use a door tool for that. And then also if you have just a door opening, we want to use that door opening tool for that as well. And I'll review that. I'll do one more wall opening where we do an arch, and then
Mhm.
we'll jump on to, we'll take a look at this door opening tool that we already have within Revit.
Okay. What would be the name for this besides the wall opening? And if it's that window section open, would that be called that as well? Is still what we call all wall openings, this little small portion here next to this
Yeah, this is a pass through.
okay.
This would be like a lot of times you see this from a living room to a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a pass through. This is just a decorative wall opening here because we have like a good buttons here. It looks really nice.
Yeah,
But yeah, we're just specifically talking about like interior wall openings here.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, let's do an arch in one. Actually, I'm gonna use this one again. I'll just use this again. Was that my west view? So say I wanted to add an arch here. I was like, I've already drawn it. Your customer comes back and like, I don't like that. Let's put an arch there. All right, so how do we fix that? We'll go back to edit profile. We'll take this piece and we'll delete it. And we're going to come back up here to our drawing tools and notice that there's a few different type of arches. I'd recommend just kind of going in there and playing with the different ones. I like the start and radius one, but you can just kind of fiddle with the other ones and see which ones you like best. But that one is literally probably the easiest one because you go start and end, and then you can add this different radius. So we can see how by just moving it just a little bit, it gives you a better idea. Here we have a full arch. I have something a little bit smaller. So you can also click on your temporary dimensions, and if you have to make that a full 25, you can do it like that as well. So you get more precise dimensions on that. So we just changed that one line to an arch, and we'll hit our green check mark. And now we have an arched wall. We got a 3D. We have something that looks like that, which is pretty nice. So basically, you're drawing the shape that you want, and then the material will follow the shape that you want. So we use this a lot. This will come up a few different times, and it's really, once you get the hang of it, it's easy. It's kind of fun to use, and you can do all sorts of neat stuff with it. And then a couple other things before we move on from walls. I'm gonna go back to level 1. I've got a wall tool again. Notice we did play with these a little bit here today. Previously, we were just using the one line. Here, if you want to do a rectangle, a lot of times I'll do this if I want to make it like something, just kind of quick in class. You can draw a rectangle room. We have our polygons. You can change the sides of the polygons here if you want to make an arched wall or a circular wall. Once again, we got start and radius wall. So all sorts of different fun tools you can do, play with here as far as creating different wall shapes. And one last thing before we move on, I wanted to show you that door tool again, that door opening that has a cut opening in it already, so you don't have to, draw it. So we're going to go to Architecture tab, Build Panel, Door Tool, go to Load Family, and one of these should already have instance. It's already have an opening. Double click on that. Oh, that's a window. Why are you doing that to me? Door. Family. Door. Opening. And then we'll drop that there. Notice you have some pre-assigned sizes to it. That determines that it is a door opening. We'll jump back to 3D. Let's see if we can find it. There it is. And there's our door opening. So when you use that, it's a lot quicker to use that instead of like drawing your own door opening. You can draw your own door opening, obviously, but this is just some fun and different ways that we can manipulate walls. You can see that you can get some really interesting architecture and some, fun stuff once you can, change the walls to look how you want it to look. Any questions about this wall stuff before we move on to floors? Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and just delete all this. So I'm going to pause this for a second because my cats are being annoying. So hold on 1 second, please. Okay, I'm back. Can y'all hear me? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick up where we left off on learning how to do floors. So I'm going to do a quick wall set. I'll just use this rectangular tool again. Let's drop that in there. And I'm going to make just a couple of rooms in here. And I'm going to drop in a couple of doors. I don't want a door opening now. Here's that sliding door. There's a glass sliding door that you had mentioned, Chloe. There's one here, and there should also be some pocket doors in here somewhere as well. So they do have different options for that. I'm just going to throw in a couple of here. So if y'all noticed real quickly, it wasn't letting me put doors in there. That's because I was in 3D view. I had to jump back to level 1 view in order to for it to allow me to insert doors. And this door has a double swing on it. That's why it's got the swings on either side of it. All right. First thing we're going to do when we're creating floors, we are going to create a slab. So we're going to go to Architecture Panel, Build Tool, Floor, Build Panel, Floor Tool. If you do the drop down on here, you'll notice there's different types of floors that we're going to create. We're going to use the default, which is the architectural floor for all of our stuff. So you can just pick on that. When we do that, jump over to properties. In your type selector, you're going to see there's a floor generic 12-inch. Well, we can start with that one, and we're going to go in and edit it, duplicate and rename it. And this is going to be our slab. Let's make this one 18 inches. And then my initials. At this point, we're going to go into edit. All this stuff should be looking familiar. So here, we're just creating a slab floor. And the slab is structural, so we're going to leave that as structure. We made this an 18-inch floor, so we need to change this to 18 inches. And now we're going to go into our material category. And we're going to pick cast in place concrete. Concrete cast in place gray. Pick that. Oops, I clicked too fast. Click on use render appearance. This is what it's going to look like in realistic. This is what it's going to look like in consistent color. We always want to make sure we click on use render appearance, and we're going to click on OK. And just default out of that. So if you notice up here on our ribbon, once that goes away, the boundary line is highlighted. This is what is active. And then over here in our drawing tool, this pick walls tool is active. So when these two are active, this is what it defaults to. It's automatically going to pick those walls that we want. So here, just for a slab, it's easy to pick just our exterior walls. And then hit your green check mark. And we'll jump to 3D. And we'll turn that on consistent color. And you'll see that we have our slab underneath there. So that's pretty easy to draw your initial slab. I'll delete that. Let's do it again. I'm going to go back to level 1. Go back to my floor tool. Since I created that floor, it's still active there. So let's go over a couple of things that sometimes, trip people up. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm just picking the external walls, and I'm just going to hit my green check mark. So everything looks good. The floor looks good, right? Well, let's go to 3D and check it out. Something looks weird down there, doesn't it? We have the walls overhanging off of the slab at this point. So if you see this, something's wrong. So what you can do is click on your slab, go to edit boundary. Let's take a top-down view and see what's going on. So you can see that that magenta line is on the interior wall. In order for the slab to support the walls, it actually has to be on the exterior wall. So if I click that, make it active, notice my double toggles are back. I can just flip on that, and it flips that entire floor line to that exterior wall. So I didn't have to redraw it. All I had to do is go in and edit it. Now I'm going to jump back up to my green check mark. All right, that looks the same. Let's go to a side view, see if it fixed it, and it did. So now we have our walls flush with our slab. So our walls are now supported by our slab. So let's say that we want to add a porch out here. Well, how would we do that? We can click on that floor and make it active. We can go to edit boundary. And at this time, I'm going to take this slab line, and notice I have my temporary dimensions out there, so I can just kind of drag it out to the dimension I want it to. If not, I can just drag it out a little bit and then change it to the exact dimension I want it to be. Oops. And now when I hit the green check mark, my slab is now extended a little bit further out, so I can make a porch there or whatever I want there. So we can do that as well. And one last thing, I'm just going to do a separate floor. And this time I'm just going to use my line tool, and you can see I can just draw what I want as well. We'll be using the draw tool when we're creating our finished floors. So I hit my green check mark here in 3D, and you can see that little weird little piece of slab that I just drew right there as well. One thing I want you to notice too is when we come in here and we'll like highlight on this floor, and we just take a look at the properties, notice that this piece of flooring is drawn on level 1. It's height offset of 0, so it is on 0, 0. There's ways that we can offset this height a little bit, and we'll be doing that with our finished floors. But once again, things are driven here. If I was drawing a floor on the second floor, I would start at level 2, and then this would be constrained to level 2. Say I just wanted to kind of see how things work. Let me click on this floor. I can change that to level 2 just by changing it here. I mean, obviously I wouldn't want to do that with the slab floor, but I just want you to see that how you can do that function there. I'll go ahead and click that floor again, make it active, and I'll put that back on first floor. Any questions about that, y'all? All right, next thing that we're going to do today is just finish floors, which is still using the same floor tool, but we're actually going to use it to create just like your carpets, your wood floors, things like that. So let's jump back to level 1 floor plan. And we're going to put finished floors in here. So I'm going to go back to Architecture tab, Build Panel, Floor Tool. I'm going to come back over to my properties and my type selector, and I'm just going to start with the generic 12-inch. I'm going to go into Edit Type. I'm going to duplicate that, and now I'm going to create the floor that I want it to be. Here I'm going to create, let's do carpet. And then my initials. Now you can use carpet and assign it to like different rooms. So if you do like a carpet living room and then carpet bedroom, so I would, you can, that's an easier way to kind of keep track of things. Here I'm just going to create just the carpet tool. But if you have like different types of carpet or different types of wood or different types of tile throughout your house, so I would do like, tile kitchen and then your initials, or tile bathroom and your initials. That way it just kind of keeps things, it's easier for you to find it and it won't get confusing. So this one's just going to be carpet. I'm going to go into Edit. Now notice on here, it is a foot thick. It shows you that it's a foot thick. We don't have foot thick carpet. So you always want to make sure that you change it to the thickness that you need. So typically what I do for the thickness of my finished flooring is I'll make that either 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch or something. So for this flooring, for the carpet, let's just make it 1/2 inch. On an exam, you will be told how thick to make your finished floors. So you do need to know how to create that thickness on there. We don't need to add any more material, so we're going to leave this here, but we do know that carpet is a finish by calling it finished floors. So we're going to change that function to finish layer 1. And now we're going to jump into our material and change that to carpet. I'm going to click on Use Render Appearance, and I'm going to hit OK. So now we have carpet. And that is supposed to be 1/2 inch thick. Why are you not changing? Looks like it is. It's supposed to change. Well, let's find out. Let's find out what happens. It's supposed to be 1/2 inch. Now let's click OK. Let's click OK and jump out of that. So now we're going to draw our finished floor. Now I can use these default pick walls, but at this time I want to make sure I use the interior wall. I don't want my carpet to go under my exterior walls. So I've picked these interior walls of this room where I want my carpet. Now I'm going to hit my green check mark. So it's freaking out. It's wondering what's going on. Notice I have my my magenta line turned to orange here, and it's saying lines cannot intersect each other. So that means that I need to trim off this line right here. This line is extending too far. This one's extending too far. It has to draw the initial shape that we want to create. So I'm going to hit continue. In order to fix that, I'm just going to come up to my modify tab, my trim corner tool, and I'm going to trim that corner. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Now the shape that I've created is correct. Now I can hit my green check mark. And I got another error. It says highlighted floors overlap. So what does that mean? Notice how this is slightly darker orange than this. So it says highlighted floors will overlap. If I just ignore that, I'm going to have something that looks like this, and you're going to keep going on, and you're going to be like, oh, everything looks fine. But if I turn on my color and I jump to 3D, watch what happens in this space here. You're going to end up with something that looks like this. It's all freaking out on you. So why is it doing that? Let's click on the slab and notice in your properties, it's on level 1 and it's set to 0, 0. Let's click on that carpet and see what's going on with that. It's on level 1 and it's set to 0. So they're both on the same level. What does that mean? Let's take a look. So here's what it looks like on the side. It looks fine there, but anytime you see something that's freaking out like this, you know it's wrong. So I'm going to click on this finished floor, make it active. I know I'm on the finished floor because it says so right here. This is where that height offset is going to come into play. So it's all set on the same level, which is 0. I want to raise this, the thickness of the material that I created. I created a 1/2 inch piece of carpet. Now I want to raise this 1/2 inch. When I do that, it's going to correct itself. Let's come in for a side view. Notice now I have my slab here and my finished floor above it. Let's click on that finished floor again, make it active. What happened before when I had this set to 0? That floor disappears. It goes on the same level as that other floor. That's why we have to take that finished floor and offset it, the thickness of the material, which is offsetting it up 1/2 inch up. And then it lays right on top of your slab. So just like putting actual carpet in your building where it goes on top of the slab. Let's do that again in a couple of the other rooms. I'm going to jump back to level 1. So I'm going to put some wood flooring in here. So back to floor tool. I always want to start with the generic, even though I have that there. Trust me, it will make things easier for you. When I start with that generic, I'm going to go to edit type. I'm going to duplicate and rename this. Now this is going to be wood. And I'll put this in the living room. And my initials. Jump back into edit. I know that this is going to be a finish layer 1. Let's make this 1/2 inch again. Let's jump into the material. And we'll use this cherry wood right here. Oops, I will click too fast. Go back in, click on use render appearance. Okay. Okay again, and okay again. Now I'm going, instead of using this pick wall tool, I'm actually just going to draw it in. Because say I had like a different shape, maybe half of this living room is tile, maybe half of it is wood. Here I'm going to go ahead and draw that. So keep boundary line. Now I'm going to pick my line tool to draw it. And let's start over here. And let's hit that check mark. Once again, I have that same error message that pops up about the highlighted floors overlap. I forgot to offset that up 1/2 inch. That'll correct itself once I do that. And now I have that finished floor in place. Let's go to 3D. So half of that is wood. Let's put carpet over here on this other end. So 2 ways I can do that. I can continue drawing just regular carpet here using the same way that I did that, or I can come back over here, click on this floor, hit edit boundary, and I can edit that boundary to where I need it to be. So here I'm just going to drag this back to that wall opening, door opening. And now I'm going to continue drawing through that threshold. Around this way. I'm basically just drawing the shape that I need it to be. So I'm just continuing that other piece of flooring. I could do it 2 ways. I could have drawn another piece by itself, or I could just continue this one. And then green check mark. Oops, what did I do? 3D. Now I have that flooring that goes all the way into that room, and then half of that is wood, and half of that is carpet. And let's do one last floor example. Let's put like some patio rocks or something here on this patio piece. I'm going to go to floor tool. I'm going to start with a generic. Going to go into edit type, duplicate, rename. I'm going to name this patio. Let's do this 1/2 inch also, patio. It's my initials. This is still going to be finish. Well, let's make this 1/4 inch. And they don't have any real interesting rock pieces or whatever here. So there's a way that I can go in and make my own material at this point as well. So I'm going in and I want to create a floor, but they don't have the one I want. So I'm going to use the same way that we created material before, but I'm going to use it inside this material browser now. So I'm going to come down to the little orb down here. I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to rename it. Let's call this patio stones. With this active, I'm going to come down to my asset browser, click on that, make it active. That brings up all these different options for me now. Now I can just kind of scroll through here and see if I can find any interesting stones that I want to use for that exterior patio. Let's try this one. Let's double click on that. That's what it looks like. Go to graphics, make sure we use render appearance on that as well. So not only are we using a new flooring, but we created new flooring within this. Notice how that sets the patio. Close this and okay. Now I'm just going to pick lines here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do pick lines this time. So this was pick walls, this one is pick lines. So here we can just pick the lines that we want instead of having to draw them. So if I pick the lines of that boundary and I hit the green check mark, once again, I'm going to have this thing that freaks out. It says what's going on. I've got these two extended lines over here that are too long. So I want to continue. I want to use my corner tool. I'm going to trim these guys off here. Now remember, I have to change this to raise it up 1/4 of an inch. So I'll do that now. So everything's done now. I can hit my green check mark. And now I've got my stone look patio on here as well. Let's change this from consistent color to realistic just to get a quick look at it. So we got something that looks like that. We've got our stones out there. We've got our poured cast in place concrete look here. We still don't have a finished floor here. And we have our carpets on this area as well. So one of the things I do want to draw to your attention as well is notice this gap here in the threshold of this door. This means that we need to put some type of flooring in here as well. We can either extend the flooring from that wall, the other room into this space, or we can use this space, this flooring, and extend it into this threshold. But we always want to make sure that we have our thresholds covered with the flooring, or you're anytime you go to a 3D view and you move it around, you're going to see gaps in the doors and it's just going to show concrete underneath. So how do we fix that? Let's go to a top-down view. Actually, let's jump to level 1. So we know that the problem is in this space right here. We can still see that there's concrete in this space. If I drew another floor over here, then I just have like a big concrete gap in that space as well. I've got the same thing over here. So what I want to do is I'm going to click on this floor, make it active. I'm going to edit boundary on this one again. And the last thing I want to do is draw that threshold space. I'm going to continue with my line tool so I can just draw that threshold and close it. Green check mark. Now notice that flooring is coming in this way. Let's jump back to 3D. And we'll twist that. And notice we don't have that concrete gap anymore. So anytime you've got a door opening, you always want to make sure that's filled in with either side of that. It's up to you for how you want to create that for your design view. I chose this one because it's more consistent with the view here. If I had it from the other way to this way, then it would be like two different pieces of flooring competing. Some people like to create the threshold by itself, like some people have in their house where they have like another piece of wood there or something, especially in older houses. So it's up to you, but just want to make sure that we don't have any concrete gaps in these door openings. And that's pretty much it for today. So that was a lot of information about floors. But the only new thing that we have is just creating our slabs and our finished floors today. And what I would suggest to do is continue kind of playing with the walls in your house, continue working on that and get your floors added. There's not going to be anything due for Wednesday. We're going to move on to some new stuff on Wednesday, but this gives you a chance to kind of not have too much to do as far as creating new stuff or having, being overwhelmed with a lot of things. So that's pretty much it for today's lecture. I'll go ahead and open up the floor to any questions about this. Any questions, y'all?
Yes, Mr. Martin, what's the name of your YouTube channels?
About to ask.
I'll email them to you. I'll email it to the class again.
Okay.
I don't remember, honestly, I don't remember the name of it. But I'll send you the link, and then just hit subscribe so you have it active all the time. But I'll send you the link in an email. I'll send that to everybody.
And how do you want us to submit our assignments on Canvas? Like, how do you want them saved, just as a Revit file?
Just save as a Revit file and submit the Revit file. Yeah, for now, it's just for progress. So just save your Revit file.
Are we gonna continuously be working on like recreating our house?
You're not going to be recreating it all the time. You're going to be like using it. Once we have the your wall set and your initial walls are correct and things like that, you're going to be using the same model the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to be adding to the same model every time. You're not going to be recreating it every time. That would make it crazy.
Well, yeah, no, like I get that. I'm saying that like that's like a project thing that like we're doing with the whole class. Right?
Oh yes, this is, well, for this till your midterm is we're just going to be working on this one house. So for the midterm project is working on your house now, which is why we did the initial measurements, and we just use your house as that first project for your midterm, and then we're going to have another project for the final.
Right, and I don't know, like, does it have to be super accurate or anything, or like?
When you say super accurate, like
for instance, like, you know, all our houses are different. Like my house is raised. You know, some
we haven't gotten into raised houses or anything like that yet. This is all like, we're all like pretending that we have a slab house and things like that. So when we learn that more advanced stuff as far as how to do that, then you can go back and you can, you know, most people go back and kind of play with the house once they've learned those more advanced steps and how to add those different, how to add that raised part and things like that. So, but for now, yeah, some of the things that we have to do are just kind of generic that we have to use across everybody's house, such as the wall thickness. Everybody's got a slab house. Some people have 2-story houses. We're just pretending that everybody's got a simple 1-story house right now, just to kind of make it, a little bit easier to teach to start with. But
so like,
yeah,
we're not going to learn how to do stairs?
Yeah, in the second half of class.
Oh, okay, I got you. I'm with you.
Yeah. I just kind of there's a lot of stuff, so I kind of give it to you a little bit at a time.
Yeah, spoon feed me, man.
Yeah, so you're not overwhelmed with it. So we get the first house knocked out, and then in the second half of the semester, we do a lot more advanced stuff. As long as you have like the beginning, like easy stuff under your belt and feel comfortable with that, then we add the more complicated, more complex, more advanced Revit stuff to it the second half.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna get all that knocked out. Don't worry.
Miss Martin,
yeah.
Can you import anything from AutoCAD onto Revit?
Yes. Let's not talk about that. Let's not do that today. Let's talk about that first thing Wednesday. We don't do that in this class anymore. We just kind of concentrate mostly on Revit stuff, but you can import a CAD floor plan or a CAD drawing into Revit and use that as a template. And I can give you a crash course on that. Let's do that on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. Just wondering.
No, just remind me on the beginning of class. No worries.
Okay, I will.
Cool, thanks. Anything else, y'all? All right, just make sure that you get your work, you know, if you haven't had a chance to submit your progress on Sunday, just submit your progress. Remember, that doesn't count for or against you for your grade. It's just a way for me to check in on you and see how you're doing, if I can catch any issues. I'm going to be reviewing that stuff today, and I'll make notes on your drawing moving forward. So you can go ahead and get those corrected before they get too complicated to fix later on. But yeah, so we're at a point where we should have our walls, windows, doors, slab, and finished floor completed in your model, and we'll move on to new stuff on Wednesday. All right,
Thank you.
Cool.
Y'all have a great day. Bye, y'all.
You too. Bye.
Thanks.